systematic review which I really would like to bring to your attention is the mandibular changes brought about by functional appliances. And this was by Koza et al., published in AJO 2006, and it included 22 articles. And they found significant supplementary elongation in most functional appliances, but they went one step further. They actually evaluated what they called the coefficient of efficiency, the short-term amount of supplementary mandibular growth, and they compared it between different appliances, and they found that the Herbst showed the highest coefficient of efficiency, followed by the twin block. So if you look at the coefficient of efficiency of various appliances, this is what they found. But of course it depends upon what literature was available to conduct a systematic review like this, but it looks like the top contenders are the Herbst appliance and the twin block appliance. So this is another systematic review and meta-analysis which looked at class 2 treatment with functional appliances, but it looked at short-term treatment effects, and it found that removable functional appliances actually produced predominantly dental changes, and the only significant skeletal finding was an increase in condylative gnathion, but curiously only with fixed functional appliances. And they found that one-phase treatment was more significant than two-phase treatment. So now that so many systematic reviews have been published, nowadays people have started publishing overview, what we call an overview or an umbrella review, which is a systematic review of systematic reviews. And this article was published in the Journal of Oral Rehabilitation, and they actually included 14 systematic reviews. And these were all the various articles that the appliances that were included in this study. So they found some evidence of reduction of the overjet with different appliances except from headgear. There was some evidence of small maxillary growth restraint with twin block and headgear. There was some evidence of elongation of mandibular length, but the clinical relevance of this results is still questionable, and there was insufficient evidence to determine an effect on soft tissues. So finally, when we talk about class 2 correction, what is the likely scenario that we are looking at? Yes, we get very, very pleasing results. Our patients are pleased, we are pleased. What is really the correction that we are getting? They are getting about a sagittal correction of about 6 to 7 millimeters. The mandible outgrows the maxilla by 1 to 5 millimeters. So it's attributed to various things. So the condylar growth, which occurs during treatment, the condyle and the fossa displacement contributes to about 1 to 3 millimeters. You are eliminating functional retrusion that could contribute to 0.5 to 1.5 millimeters. Trabecular orientation changes can account for between 0.5 to 1.5 millimeters. Maxillary growth restraint can account for 1 to 1.5 millimeters of the change. And differential upwards and forwards eruption of lower buccal segments could occur for between 1.5 to 2.5 millimeters of class 2 correction, depending upon the depth of overbite. So this is the likely scenario when we are seeing very nice changes in class 2 correction. So whether functional appliances actually stimulate growth or mandibular growth or not, I still like to believe that they do create a very favorable functional environment for the child or for the mandible to grow and attain what we call the individual optimum. So let's not forget that. So we live on a blue planet that circles around a ball of fire next to a moon that moves the sea. And you don't believe in miracles, so why not believe in functional appliances?